Kakadosh Boker Or Beki'im Bahalacha 6 Siman Kuf Samich Bet 162. We are on day 76, page 185. Okay, we are on Halacha He. Okay, we're talking about now after drying the hands. So it says as follows: the issue of touching an unwanted hand applies, only until the person who performed the Netilat Yadayim dries his hands. Once he dried them properly, he may touch anyone else's hands. So even if his hands become wet afterwards, he may still touch other people's hands, and it will not affect their status. Once he has successfully purified his hands and dried them, they are not susceptible to becoming defiled simply by touching another person's hands. Okay, so this is very, very interesting. That basically they were saying that the second that a person did Netilat Yadayim and they dried their hands, that's it. Yeah, they're already pure. I touched his hand afterwards. There's no problem. He touched my hand, no problem. Yeah?
Even before he dried them up?
No, because if you remember, we said if it was going to be one hand only wet and then the other hand touched it, you could impurify that hand. And then that was the question: how do you do again it at the night? Exactly.
I thought he was saying he could not defile.
Yeah, no, that means he's already no. But once he dries it, he finished completely. He finished completely. So he comes now and he says like this. He says Halacha 6. What about touching? We're on page 186. Yeah. What about touching another person's hands? Right, is a problem only if the other person is not performing Netilat Yadayim. But once someone performed Netilat Yadayim as well, his hands cannot defile anyone else's hands as well. Meaning like this: let's say he didn't do Netilat Yadayim and I touched his hands, right? Sorry, it's the opposite. He didn't do Netilat, he's touching my hands, so he could defile me, right? Because he didn't do Netilat Yadayim. But once we all, yeah. So he said, yeah. So he says, but once we've actually done the mitzvah, everybody, meaning we've both done Netilat Yadayim, even if I'm going to touch you, nothing happens anymore. Because we both did Netilat Yadayim. So we're fine. Okay, that was Halacha 6. That's what it says on the side. If both people perform Netilat Yadayim. What about a child? Yeah, so these rules apply even if a person, while performing Netilat Yadayim, touches unwashed hands of a newborn infant. It is recommended to be stringent even if he touches a non-Jew's hands, although the mitzvah of Netilat Yadayim does not apply, obviously, to non-Jews. Right? If you look at the footnote, he says that touched the non-Jew's hands, but he did not come to a conclusion, right? Which means that he didn't, the Hechal Yitzchak was machmir. Technically, there shouldn't be a problem, but again, it's just better to be careful as well. So therefore, even meaning anytime that you're touching a hand which was not done Netilat Yadayim is going to be a problem. It doesn't matter whether it's going to be a child, whether it's going to be a goy also as well. Okay, Halacha number 8. What about touching somebody's forearm? That means you're not touching the hand, you're touching the forearm. So he says over here, the halachot discussed here apply only when a person touches an unwashed hand while performing the mitzvah Netilat Yadayim. If he would touch someone's face or forearm, however, it would not affect the status of the hands at all. You don't have to do the mitzvah. Meaning, it's only the hands that's a problem. Everything else is not a problem. Okay? Number 9, if someone performed Netilat Yadayim by pouring water on his fingers, but not on his palm. You remember we said that you are going to be to the chovah, even though... Right? Yeah. So he says like this: he must then take care not to touch his palms or the back of his hands with his fingers. When someone performs Netilat Yadayim in the regular way, so therefore it does not matter then if he touches his forearm or above the wrist. The forearm is never considered defiled regarding Netilat Yadayim, as noted in the previous halacha. We already mentioned that a few times. The forearm is nothing. Okay? It's only the actual hands. Okay? Fine. Halacha number 10, which is Yod, after pouring a ravit on each hand. Okay? Once someone pours a ravit of water on all at once in one hand, right, or another ravit on the other hand, so then you're finished. And now you can allow the hands to contact one another. In fact, it's commendable to run them together, as explained in Siman 158:22. You remember we brought down, right? You remember we said that when you finish doing the Netilat Yadayim, how are you supposed to do it? Right? You rub them together. You remember? You go like this, and you, right? Right? Very good. So therefore, that is being done, but it's already after you're finished. So therefore, since you've already put a revi'it on each hand, you should do that, right? And therefore, there's no problem. Because again, once you've already finished, now you're allowed to do it. Okay? Now that, and then you're not only allowed, you're supposed to do it. Okay? No, that was halacha. Brought on Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch brings it. Yeah. No. No. Yeah, but this is halacha. Halacha, you're supposed to do shifshuf yadayim. Yeah. Last halacha, number 11. Yeah. Yeah. 11. לא, לפני הברכה. אתה עושה זה, ואז אתה מברך. אתה עושה את השפשוף, אתה פותח את הידיים למעלה, ואז אתה מברך. So he says this, technically, it is permissible to perform netilat yadayim on both hands simultaneously, right? If someone pours the water on, if the other person is pouring, right? Or if he holds it between the knees. When this is done, it does not matter whether or not the two hands are touching each other. They are considered as one hand, and they cannot defile one another. In fact, it's possible for 4 or 5 people to perform netilat yadayim simultaneously, placing all their hands together while someone pours water on them. All the hands have the status of one hand, and they do not defile one another. Right? This is maybe what you were talking about before, but basically like this. So, for example, let's say we have to do Birkat Kohanim, right? Here we don't have the room, right? But for example, I was just at Safra yesterday. There was an Asifat Rabbanim, and there they have, besides the Netilat Yadayim place to do Netilat Yadayim for a single person, they have right beside the washroom like an area which is like this, which is bigger, like a sink with a Netilat Yadayim. So, for example, let's say I'm going to be the Lewi. I'm the Levi. So I come and I take, right? And I take, let's say I had a very big keli. Because if it's going to be a small keli, it's not going to help me. But let's say it's going to be a very big keli. So I take the big keli and I tell all the Kohanim, put your hands there. Why? Because I want to, you understand? Like I want to make sure. So what do? Boom, on everybody together. You're allowed to. No problem. All the people's hands, all the Kohanim. There's not tons of room. You understand? But let's say there's 4 Kohanim. They're all, even, doesn't matter. I could do it all simultaneously. And that's what
many times you do.
Technically 1. You don't need more than 1.
The Kohanim only 1.
Technically, you need only 1. 1 a revit. As long as you have a revit, that's just like the halacha, just like a regular person also. Right? Remember, as long as you have a revit, it's already okay. Right? Again, we do 2 because of the the extra, or 3 according to the Kabbalah, and so or if the hands are dirty, right? But really, be'emet, a revit is enough. Okay, fine. So that was just halacha number 11.
The same tahara applies to the Kohanim.